Northern Ireland and northern England, thundery showers are expected to develop after a fine night. Well, that's all for now. Our next news is at 8 o'clock.
And a very warm welcome to Monday evening on 2. We'll have more of that kind of music in a moment. Then at 8:30, Roy Castle's your host for Big Band Special. And at 9, there's an hour of jazz with Humphrey Littleton. But first, as I promised, let's remember those dance band days with Alan Dell.
Hello, good evening to you. Next Thursday, Joe Loss celebrates his 80th birthday and very nearly 60 years as a band leader. And in our dance band days, we salute him.
Make-believe ballroom, let's dance, romance at the tip of your fingers while the melody lingers. Let's dance, 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 stopping, swaying while Gelos is playing. His music is worth your while. Let this station give you dancipation. Simply turn the dial and keep on dancing, though you've only a small room. Make it your ballroom. Let's dance. Keep on dancing, though you've only a small room. Make it your ballroom. Let's dance.
It must be getting on for 18 or 19 years ago that Joe Loss dropped in on one of my dance band programs, and I played that actual 78 for him, and he commented on it as follows.
I must tell you the story about Make-Believe Ballroom. That was my first signature tune. I did my very first broadcast in 1934, and everybody had a signature tune those days, and I thought it was apt. And we needed a sort of tune where people could sort of roll up the carpets and dance in their homes. And I searched around until we came across that tune. But what's knocked me out is the standard of the playing, and you can even understand what the singers were singing about.
True. Well, 34, you began recording when you were still at the Astoria.
Yes.
I see. Can you remember the first record you made?
I don't, but there's a fan of mine in Blackpool, Harry Lickover, and he seems to know more about me than I know myself. He has as many records, I think, as the BBC record library has.
Well, if Joe couldn't remember then, no doubt he's been reminded since that his first record was this bright and breezy version of Over My Shoulder. excerpt from Joe Loss's very first Regal Zonophone recording as a young 25-year-old band leader. It was made in August 1934, and not quite a year later, for the Octocross label, Joe directed a rare and quite historic recording that came to me through one of our listeners, Roger White, whose father worked for Octocross in the early 1930s. This is the one and only discovered recording of the Joe Loss Orchestra and Vera Lynn.
Red sails, the night breeze is blowing, on clouds are hiding the moon. Above, no bright stars are glowing. It means a storm's coming soon. Red sails in the sunset, way out on the sea. Oh, carry my loved one home safely to me. He sailed at the dawning. All day I've been blue. Red sails in the sunset, I'm trusting in you. Swift wings you must borrow, make straight for that shore. We'll marry tomorrow, when he goes sailing no more. Red sails in the sunset, way out on the sea. Oh, carry my loved one home safely to me.
I think it was generally believed for a long time that while Vera Lynn had broadcast with Joe from the Astoria in Charing Cross Road, she'd never recorded with the band. But there was proof that she had. Now, let's return to Joe and his memories of his greatest vocal asset of those years.
Chick Henderson joined the band in the early 30s, and he stayed with me until the beginning of the war.
Yes.
I say early 30s, about 35 joined the orchestra. And I liked this boy's voice, and I thought it was quite unique. Well, the remarkable thing is, right until now, people ask me for the Chick Henderson recording of Begin the Beguine.
Yes.
Again, that was a standard orchestration sent over, I believe it was the Jack Mason Orchestra, sent over from America. And the style those days, the orchestra almost doubled the melody with the singer, but it was unique. It was that particular type of orchestration, and everybody loved it.
Still do.
When they begin the Beguine, it brings back the sound of music so tender. It brings back a night of tropical splendor. It brings back a merry evergreen. I'm with you once more under the stars, and down by the shore an orchestra's playing, and even the palms seem to be swaying when they begin the Beguine. To live it again is past all endeavor, except when that tune clutches my heart. And there we are, swearing to love forever, and promising never to part. What moments divine, what rapture serene, till clouds come along to disperse the joys we had tasted. And now when I hear people curse the chance that was wasted, I know but too well what they mean. So don't let them begin the Beguine. Let the love that was once a fire remain unembered. can't sleep like the dead desire I only remember when they begin the Beguine. Oh yes, let them begin the Beguine, make them play till the stars that were there before return above you, till you whisper to me once more, darling, I love you, and we suddenly know what heaven we're in when they begin the Beguine.
One, if not the most enduring of Joe Loss's recordings, Chick Henderson singing of Cole Porter's Begin the Beguine. But Joe had many other vocalists of note through the years. Prior to the war, among them was Betty Dell, Clem Stevens from the band's trumpet section, Monty Ray, Sam Costa, and in the war years, I think one of our finest girl singers ever. Here she is, Paula Green.
That certain night, the night we met, there was magic abroad in the air. There were angels dining at the Ritz, and a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I'm perfectly willing to swear that as you turned and smiled at me, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. The moon that lingered over London town, poor puzzled moon, he wore a frown. How could he tell we were so much in love? The whole darned world seemed upside down. The streets of town were paved with stars. It was such a romantic affair. And as we kissed and said goodnight, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. Night in Berkeley Square.
Paula Green. And in those war years, we also heard with Joe the voices of Bob Arden, and Monty Ray was again welcomed on broadcasts and recordings from somewhere in Britain. And a little later came Harry Kay and Elizabeth Batey. Instrumentally, Joe introduced his record series Mood for Dancing. This one, Southern Fried, for the increasing audience of jivers. let's remember some of the others who sang with Joe in those years of the 40s. The vivacious Elizabeth Batey, I've already mentioned. Here she is.
Got no diamond, got no pearl, still I think I'm a lucky girl. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
Got no mansion, got no yacht, still I'm happy with what I've got. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
Sunshine gives me a lovely day. Moonlight gives me the Milky Way. Got no checkbooks, got no banks, still I'd like to express my thanks. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
And with the sun in the morning and the moon in the evening, I'm all right. The Milky Way. Got no checkbooks, got no banks, still I'd like to express my thanks. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
And with the sun in the morning and the moon in the evening, I'm all right.
Elizabeth Batey. Now, those who were around in the latter 40s will not have forgotten, I'm quite sure, this stalwart of the Joe Loss vocal department of that time. This is Howard Jones.
He made the night a little brighter wherever he would go. The old lamplighter of long, long ago. His snowy hair was so much whiter beneath the candle glow. The old lamplighter of long, long ago. You'd hear the patter of his feet as he came toddling down the street. His smile would hide a lonely heart, you see. If there were sweethearts in the park, he'd pass a lamp and leave it dark, remembering the days that used to be. For he recalls when dreams are new, he'd loved someone who loved him too, who'd walk with him alone in memory. He made the night a little brighter wherever he would go. The old lamplighter of long, long ago. Now if you look up at the sky, you'll understand the reason why the little stars at night are all aglow. He turns them on when night is near, he turns them off when dawn is near. The little man we loved of long ago.
Howard Jones, with the band supplying the choral additions. And finally, from the post-war years, one of the nicest ladies to join the Loss entourage. She became a specially featured vocalist. Do you remember Rose Brennan?
My darling, I've wanted to call you my darling for many and many a day. My darling, I fluttered and fled like a starling. My courage just melted away. Now all at once you've kissed me, and there's not a thing I'm sane enough to say, except my darling, get used to that name of my darling. It's here to stay. Now all at once you've kissed me, and there's not a thing I'm sane enough to say, except my darling, get used to that name of my darling. It's here to stay. Now that Mr. and Miss has gone with a kiss, you are my darling, my darling.
Rose Brennan. The parade of Joe Loss's vocalists has continued down the years with people like Ross McManus and Larry Gritton, Todd Miller, Rose Love Band. We'll have to reserve appearances by them for another occasion, I'm afraid. But I suppose to tie this birthday package together with the perfect ribbon, we should end it with Joe's second signature tune, In the Mood. Joe's 1940 recording vied in popularity in Britain with Glenn Miller's, and he's recorded it again since. And we'll span some of Joe's 60 band-leading years with a dual version of that famous theme. Joe Loss, past and relatively present. I know all of you will join me in wishing him a very happy 80th birthday for next Thursday, and I hope you'll be able to look in on the Coda Club meeting tomorrow afternoon, when the assembled company will also be saying happy birthday to Sid Raymond, ex-Harry Parry drummer, Aubrey Franks, tenor saxist with all sorts. In fact, the first Ted Heath Orchestra, for example, and the current Ted Heath Band will be at the Barbican on Friday, by the way. Also, alto saxist Harry Conn. It was also Stanley Black's birthday last week, but I'm not sure whether he can look in, which reminds me that the Harry Roy Society has its next meeting next Saturday, June the 24th, at the usual venue, the Concert Artists Association Rooms, 20 Bedford Street in London. That starts at 6:15. Starting right now, though, this evening's cricket scoreboard from Dave Smith.